This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Pickers. Alongside me, I got Rob, I got Sakura. How's it going, guys?
What's up? I'm enjoying life. I'm glad it's warmer this week than last week.
Yes,
ain't
thanks
much
for
warmer.
that, man. Woo.
It ain't much warmer.
For me, it is. Maybe not for you two, but for me, it's a lot warm. All right. Welcome to Tough Talk. I'm gonna call this one Battle of the Davids. That's the episode slogan of the day.
I like it.
But before we get into anything, I remember, Rob, you said something. You want to talk in a way, right? It's been a while since we've had a show, everybody. So let's talk in a way this weekend. Getting a KO. Lead away with it, Rob.
Yes. He had a massive KO victory, and I feel like we could have said that before the damn fight even started. Saying that to say...
Which is a lot of fights in boxing, but...
Saying that to
getting
say
better.
this, he has, unfortunately, one more bout in February, actually. February 24th, they said. One more bout in Japan, and then he's headed to Las Vegas. Listen, Nakatani is 29-0 too, damn it. You're not the only big dog out there, okay? You're only the big dog because I'm saying it, you ain't fought nobody. I don't give a damn what this panel thinks. They put him number 3 on the pound-for-pound list, and he still got names up there that he needs to take on. Nakatani can beat you. Nakatani is tough as nails. That fight needs to happen. We got a commercial here with like one of them personal injury lawyers or whatever, and it's like, I want my money and I want it now. I want that fight and I want it now, damn it. Okay? Because I'm sick of everybody sitting here crowning his ass. Like Dennis Allen said, you want to crown him, crown him. He is who we thought he was. Prove it to me, damn it.
But you busted
Yes,
out
I
all the
started
quotes
this with a
tonight.
rant.
Prove it.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. I mean, we would have expected that from his opposition, but right now you would actually favor Nakatani above in a way.
Yes, I do. Why? Because this episode is called Prove It to Me. Prove it to me. Everybody's crowning his ass but me. Nakatani ain't gonna leave, is not gonna be left him off the hook. Nakatani's not gonna leave him off the hook. Nakatani is for real. I need to see that fight. There's a reason why you ducking it. You ducking it, monster. You ducking that fight. I'm sick of it. Fight somebody real.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have a
I get
question
where you're
because I've
coming
been like kind of, sick and that. I had some other things going on. Plus, I love my Christmas holiday season. But so anyway, he still fought at featherweight.
Yes, 122.
Okay, and the last time somebody said they thought he had a competitive fight would have been Cool Boy Steph. And we all saw how that fight seemed like it was not an equal fight at all. And we don't know what, okay, but I'm just going to say, we don't know what the requirements were. What were the mitigating factors leading up to the fight that Cool Boy had to stay inside of because of when you go to Japan, when you go to anyways domain, you follow his A-side domain rules. So we don't know what all happened there, but it didn't look like it was competitive. So that being said, Nakatani would have to do better than Cool Boy Steph, and he would also need to be impressive if he is to get a win And also, if the fight is you think the fight's gonna be in Las Vegas, if it's gonna be in Las Vegas, then that's neutrality for both fighters. All good. But if it ends up being in Japan again, I'm just gonna like pull my hair out.
Well,
But not my
Nakatani
real
fights.
hair, my wig hair. Okay.
Oh hell no. No, Nakatani fights out of LA though. Yeah, he conformed over to the United States. He fights out of LA.
Right. So Las Vegas would be neutrality in a way. But what I'm saying is, I do feel bad that anyway has to keep fighting in Japan when he has made it clear that he does want to get out and branch out and fight in the US for one, fight in other parts of the world more. But he is consistently, because of his popularity there in Japan, there is this, I don't know if you want to call it, it's the push for him to continue to keep fighting out of where he has the most fan base. And I get that, but at the same time, when is the boxer going to be able to branch out and, see how they do on foreign soils? See how they do, against an opponent that isn't hand or tailor made for him to knock out. Because like Rob is saying, yes, that fight was something where it's like, okay, I do see where this, we could have figured out who the winner was going to be prior to the actual fight.
Yeah, I mean,
So
champs want to do that, and
yeah.
that's everybody. I'm sure Pacquiao would have preferred to fight in the Philippines, but I just don't think it was financially as feasible as maybe some other options. Of course, we know Floyd. He didn't leave Vegas, right? I mean, he likes it there. So, everybody likes to fight in specific arenas, and it does suck. I agree, Sakura. I think you need to be tested in other soils. You should be forced, right, into not necessarily always having your home field advantage. So
Mhm.
something needs to be done with that. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
he's the
give him.
one that's saying it. It's not like we the fans are saying it. It's like the boxer himself is saying, "Hey, let me branch out
yeah,
some. Let me try my, fighting skills in a different part of the geographic map. Like I want to."
yeah.
I'm gonna give him
Boxing
credit though.
commissions,
I'm gonna give
WBC,
him.
everybody. Go ahead. Sorry, Rob.
I'm gonna give him credit here because this fight is what maybe a month prior to this last fight on February 24th. And the reason being is, okay, here's the plan. So he fought once already in Japan. He fights twice in Japan, one more time in February. Then he's going to go to Vegas and fight, and then Saudi to round out the year. So he's going to be active this year. And he's going to be on more of an American fan or a different fan base. My issue is that they're not calling out the Nakatanis. They're not calling out the big guys. So if he does, I don't want to see him just fight here just because. I want to see him fight Nakatani, period. I want to see him fight the big boys. If not, move up in weight. You already know I was going to say that.
I was waiting
That's
for that. I was waiting for that.
right.
But no, I would like to see the WBC, WBA, any boxing commission add that in there. Like, as a champ, you got to be a traveling champ. Sorry, but when we say mandatory, you travel to every, 2 or 3 mandatory, whatever you have to do, but at least make it in there. You know what I mean? I think it makes you one a more well-rounded fighter anyway, and that's what we should want in any champ, right? I mean, we want somebody that's going to be able to beat you here, beat you there. I'll beat you any goddamn where. That's what we want.
Look at
That's a
Klitschko.
true champ
They
to me.
stayed.
Yeah,
They stayed in Europe. That whole
yeah,
reign. That
yeah.
whole reign.
And I mean that's one of the weakest eras too. At that, like you could have traveled and still leaned on people and beat them up, man. Come on,
Mhm.
could have did that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but let's go on to this weekend's card. Um, let's start out with this. We got Isak Cruz returning, guys. He
Hold on. I
came
gotta
off.
say something again.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me, let, me, let me start this one out. I gotta say something
Take
again.
over. Take over. All right, go ahead.
It's
First of
just
all, this is the first big fight of the new year. Does it feel like that to either of y'all though?
I'm not gonna lie, it
No,
snuck up on me. And so yeah, I would
Absolutely.
say no. I would say no.
right?
Absolutely. I
This
think
is
this is the biggest fight card that we've had so far this year because we're at the end of January. So, and there weren't many fights in January. So, yeah, this would be the biggest fight
and
that
this
we've had so
card
far this
Shakura
year.
is loaded
Yeah, the card
too.
is stacked.
This card is loaded. So I need these fans out here to come support this card any way you can. And I'll support the streaming on this one.
Okay.
But we need y'all to come back to at least watching the sport right now, because as we'll discuss probably later on, leading up to, there's a bigger fight at the end of this next month coming up. So this one will be kind of an interlude into that fight. But there's a lot at stake on this card as a whole. So Lucas, now you can go into the first fight you were going to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk Isak Cruz versus Angel Fierro. I do want to ask though, uh, do you think it's good or at least acceptable that we're 28 days into the new year and we really don't have this is the first big card? Are we okay with one decent card a month, basically?
I thought
Yeah, I
Shakira was
think
going to answer, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're okay with January being a slower month. It's always been a slower month. And it doesn't really reflect what happens throughout the year as to the how busy it does get. But right after Christmas and you're trying to regroup, many families they're not going to be able to um, you know, dev out money to just go to these different fights and that's on the local level too, Lucas. Right after Christmas, so yeah, everybody need to regroup, and and then they can lead into February with big fights and matchups that make a lot of noise. So
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
I think at least for my own personal life, it kind of worked out perfect, right? Like, I the kids had so much else going on. We had the holidays, so basketball for at least my oldest kind of had ended. So at least it slowed down drastically. No more practices this week. No more running and running. So. To finally be able to have a slow week with a big fight card at the end of the week, it's something to look forward to, something nice. So definitely something that I'm going to be checking out. And I think anybody else that is also living that lifestyle right now, basketball is coming into an end for your kids. You can sit down, have a nice cold beer, and watch this card. This is going to be a good card, guys.
So I agree with you, Lucas. Me personally, it's great personally for me because I'm a fan and I love it. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that I think the fucking Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fiasco has ruined the sport forever.
They did kind of milk it at the end, right? I mean, it almost felt like they were helping bury in the old boxing. I think hopefully we can renew ourselves and things can change. But yeah, not gonna lie, they in 2024 went out with a at the end of for boxing. So
I know. And can you
man,
believe Mike Tyson was at the International Mall in Tampa like a week
oh,
ago, still collecting money and signing autographs for money like he's like totally broke.
yeah, wrestling and joking around with Jake Paul. And I'm like, man, you need to get out of here. Look, you were supposed to be sworn enemies, and you lied to us. You lied to everybody.
Oh, they was
No,
in
we
party mode inauguration day. Oh, them was some happy fat cats because they got them fat wallets and they feel like they ain't gonna be touched right now. So we can't get mad at that. I don't think I'm upset about is if we're gonna have these fights make a bigger impact on fans that might not be, they once were into the sport and they're not now. Like if we're gonna make an impact, then some of these matchups, they're good, but it's more of a fact that people just not knowing who these boxers are anymore as opposed to you knew Mayweather, you knew Pacquiao, you knew, Canelo even, him. I'm just worried about like what happens in the sport when Canelo decides he wants to retire. Then what big name is left? We haven't really marketed anybody to mainstream fans to
No,
be able to build them up. And
no.
now it's getting
And
more and more elusive to find the fights, the more they start going to apps.
yeah, and
So
the sad part is, it sounds like we're getting Canelo Crawford. And even if the younger guy, which is not very much, well, I think they're about the same age, aren't they? No, so they're going to be going and leaving about the same time anyway, so it don't matter.
yeah.
Which is why everybody needs to watch this fight, because David Benavidez, not to be biased or anything or allude to any of
Who's
my
going to win?
direction in the fight, but David
Just ruined the whole
Benavidez
show. No, just kidding.
is, to me, a possible next Canelo. He's
Okay.
must
We're
see
going to get to
TV.
that. We're going to get to that. Guys,
We're talking
Isak
about
Cruz,
Isak Cruz though, and
he's
I love Isak.
he just took a bad loss. Isak don't like to lose. I say bad, but it was a close decision.
Yeah, it
But
really wasn't that bad.
he's trying to cut off the ring. It looks bad, when he was just getting kind of pop shot at a lot of it. You can
But
see
he
Isak
wasn't
getting
getting
really
beat up,
frustrated.
Lucas.
No,
He
no,
never got beat up.
not beat up, but touch, touch,
Yeah.
touch, touch. And I to see Isak lose, it hurt my soul a little bit. The pit bull,
Mm.
he goes out there and he gives 100% every time, just 100% aggression. He's coming in against a little known Angel Fierro, 23-2-2. Guys, does this appear to be a good comeback fight for him? Are we worried about Fierro upsetting him? I mean, we all
Yeah,
know
see,
how it
I
goes.
don't
Sometimes when
really
you
know
lose
too
one, it
much
just
about Angel Firo. For me, it's like I'm looking at this as like maybe this is more like a get, Cruz back into the ring and back focused and energized after the loss. I'm not looking at it. I don't want to say a tune up because he fought, he's been real active, so I don't consider this a tune up, but at the same time I think it's more like a filler to like get Cruz back on his winning streak and build some confidence after the loss.
for sure. I'm trying to find a measuring stick. Looking at Fierro and Juan Carlos Burgos, he had a draw with back in 2022. So I think that would be the biggest name that maybe some of our viewers would be able to grasp on. So I mean, he's not going to be a pushover, but make no mistake, he's in there for food for Isak Cruz. He does have a 78% KO ratio, so more than likely he likes to get into the mix of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that style, usually Isak Cruz is going to come out ahead. But Rob, go ahead. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, not gonna let him off the hook because he backed out of the fight with Ryan Garcia. He should be fighting Ryan Garcia this year, and that's a telltale for me. Why you back out of that fight? That's a bigger fight.
I think that's more political than it is about whether he's willing to fight Garcia or not. I think it was more like, well, hey, we want you on this PBC card right now, and we're the ones that helped you get where you are today. So we need you over here on this card. We don't need you on Turkey card right now. So I
Well,
think it was more something like on the lines of being politically motivated rather than
Yeah,
Cruz not wanting to fight Garcia.
I'm sorry, PBC, but I have to respectfully decline that offer because I have a bigger fight over here, and I'm hungry again to get into the ring with that man.
That
What
ain't
did I?
how it worked.
What did I
I
say
agree.
again?
I think Isak Cruz would love some Ryan Garcia. I don't think he's backing out of that fight. I don't think he
He
Me,
will.
did back out of it though.
He did, but not.
Did.
I'm agreeing with
not
Sakura. Is what I'm
for the
saying. I'm agreeing with
reasons you
Sakura.
thinking though.
Yeah,
That's
you.
not because he's like
Uh,
scared to get in the ring with Ryan Garcia. Isak
okay.
Cruz isn't that type of fighter. What the issue
Yeah.
is you can still get that Ryan Garcia card later. Like you can still get that fight. But right now, we want you on this card. And you're not gonna
Yeah.
fight. You're not gonna bite the hand that feeds you. You know, you're gonna be like, okay, then, yeah. And besides, I can tune up with this fight anyway. See what I'm saying? Like,
So
Isak,
it makes
so
Isak to me,
sense.
Isak to me is scrappy dude. Okay, you can't tell me he's
he
ducking
is.
nobody. I see
Yeah.
him and Better be crossing paths in the hallway or something, and they brush, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to fight? You want to go?" That's the way I see Isak. Okay,
He is.
he ain't
But here's
jacking
the
up for
thing
nobody.
with that. That can help you and it can also hurt you. And it has hurt him before in the tank fight. And more so in this last fight out when he lost a decision to Venezuela.
Mm.
I don't.
Here's my point is because the question was asked to me is what are my thoughts? And I said it at the beginning of the show. Isak Cruz, prove it. I'm picking
Oh,
Fiora in an upset.
okay.
I think Pitbull right now is a hurt puppy. Will he be able to come back from hell? Yes. Especially if he has 2 consecutive losses. He really gonna wish he took that Ryan Garcia fight after this. But I think there's something wrong and he needs to prove it to me.
I'm going with Isak Cruz. Pitbull is ready to go. He's always ready to go. And it doesn't matter what Angel throws at him. I believe he's still just going to keep coming forward, just like he did with Velasquez, just like he did with Tank, just like he does with all of his opponents. And I see him winning this fight. So let's go, Isak,
Let me ask y'all
Well,
this too real
which is
quick though.
also
Fiero,
Isaac.
Let me ask y'all this too real quick though.
you might want to make a bet, Rob. Fiero plus
I
five
am
fifty.
making a bet on that. I am.
Okay, okay.
But let me
Go
ask
ahead.
y'all this too though, is that he keeps taking these lesser known opponents. Don't you think that that makes him more fragile? Because his style is the same. It is the same. And maybe the camp is looking at because Fiora has a high KO ratio, he's high action, high octane. They're like, oh, this is a perfect bout for my man to showcase his skills. You can't beat everybody to the punch every time, right? And Venezuela, in my opinion, my
That's
humbled
what I meant to
opinion,
say, not Vasquez. I meant to say Venezuela.
my,
Venezuela, I'm sorry.
my humble opinion is Valenzuela is a tough opponent, but I think Isak should have beat him. I really do. If
I agree with that.
with that power, he should have beat him. But there was something there that he just kept his gears the same. He was in a tough fight, never adjusted, kept it the same, lost the decision. Why? Because he couldn't knock him out.
I
This
feel like
guy,
Valenzuela was doing a lot of movement that he's not used to when he's
Yeah,
used to boxers that are more stationary than him. And I think that movement really did trick him up. I mean, it was just slick boxing versus, Isak Cruz being aggressive.
yeah,
And, the boxer wins out in that type of situation. But my thing is, Valenzuela never hurt Isak. Like, what
not at
happened
all.
to effective aggression? Like,
but
none of them
it was
punches were doing anything to him.
my point
So
Listen,
more to regard is that Isak couldn't knock him out. You got to have more than one trick in this game.
all right,
You can't just do knockouts. You got to
but
adjust.
everybody ain't gonna be knocked out to
yeah,
bull.
you not wrong. Neither one of you are. Here's my thing is, usually we talk about like some glaring holes, and you're right. My thing is Isak can learn. He can learn to cut this goddamn ring off. I can't speak for
He
Venezuela.
hasn't.
Venezuela can't learn to just take punches to the face. So eventually, if I'm a trainer, I'm going with Isak Cruz all day. I can make those adjustments. I can turn him into the guy that's going to win those fights. That's going to be able to cut off the ring. You're not going to be able to get him off of you, right? That kind of dog is hard to find. But
Yeah,
to put it into use right now, I mean, come on, I'm rolling with Isak in this. I'm a little surprised with the upset route. Usually you do it in more of a bigger fight fashion, but I I think you see something. Maybe you see a little chink in Isak's armor. Maybe he is down like a hurt puppy, like you say. I'm interested in the fight just because Isak is always entertaining. So regardless, it's going to be nice to watch.
Well,
I
let me
really
let me.
do hope that Isak gets back into form though, and maybe if nothing else is actually using this fight as a learning tool. Like I said, Isak, if you're listening, buddy, I would go, and you don't have to leave your current trainer, but at least pick up a trainer that's able to help you with cutting off this ring. You don't need to learn no defense. You don't need to do none of that shit. What you need to do is just better hunt your prey. Okay, find a way to cut off this ring. Find a way to stop that movement. You're gonna be
Yeah.
golden. You're gonna be golden.
Yeah. It's the movement. Stop the movement.
Yep.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is this: is you said maybe I see something and I do. Like I said, it's the hurt puppy effect. I need to see more hunger. That's what I need to see. I need to see the hunger again.
More hunger.
I need to see more
He's
hunger.
How much you want from Isak?
He lost.
James, not able to be on tonight, but he is still listening. Pitbull can win, but his opponent knows how to beat him up. Guerrero is tough as fuck.
Yeah,
I
but
know he beats
hear me out when I'm saying no. Yes, I need to see more hunger. Yes, he has two losses. He lost to an opponent that people thought he shouldn't have beat. He had the Ryan Garcia fight in front of him. He decided for whatever reason not to take it. Me personally, I believe it's because he doesn't want two losses in a row on his resume.
okay.
I'm not even looking past that. I will partially agree with that. And what I'm saying is off after your first loss, or at least a loss of that nature, you do want to get back to a win, right? You don't want to jump right back in against another potential loss. I will say that. And it's at least a much tougher opponent than what he's ever faced before, much worse than Venezuela. So yeah, I mean, you do kind of want to be like, well, I want that fight. Let me work on a couple things. I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
and I
that
don't
though.
like that. Just I need him to
Why?
prove because the best way to avenge a loss without beating the opponent who just faced you is to beat somebody better.
I mean, yeah, but if you even in your heart of hearts think I need to work on that, I think a
And you
win
got
over
doubt.
them
Then you
is
got
better.
doubts, and you ain't gonna last. And that's why I think he's gonna lose. I
There,
mean,
there
these
there's
are all things that are proving my
there's a
point
fine
with
line
this.
between a doubt and like I can work on this and then I can beat you. You know what I mean? There's being honest with yourself, right? And I think there's a part where ego is good. There's a part where ego is going to get you fucked up. Okay, and if you're honest with yourself and you say, "Hey, I need to work on some stuff," like I said, Pitbull is Pitbull, right? He's already good at what he does. Imagine you
Mhm.
get that ring cut off. Imagine you can extend some of those combinations and he doesn't turn into just one or two punches and then have to reload. Imagine him slipping punches and able again to continue to barrage the body. Um, all things that can be, I mean, leading and jabbing his way in. I mean, anything and everything can be taught for Isak, and I think it's something that can easily be picked up and just added to his repertoire. Um, but that's a dog that we're talking Tank had problems with, Rob. Tank said, that ain't no rematch coming down. Don't ask, you ain't getting it. You know what I mean? So he's already hung in there with the best, right? I don't
Yeah,
know anybody else that can throw as heavy as Tank. Isak's got the chin. All he has to do is just better cut off that ring, right? If it comes down to a matter of, mano a mano, and they're toe to toe, Isak's winning most of those fights,
That's
99%
true.
of the time.
yeah.
What
99.
was
So
Jay's point he was
prove
making?
it to me.
He's saying Figueroa's tough as fuck, but his opponent knows how to beat him up.
Okay. I guess we're gonna see on this one.
Pull that
It
back up.
makes this fight a little bit more intriguing for me. And I see that they also added Cormel Moton onto the card too, so we get to see that new talent too. But Cruz versus Figueroa now is like a lot more intriguing now that we've had these perspectives about it.
Right. Yep. That's what we were saying. Corey definitely can get out of box. So hopefully, he gets somebody else is able to help him cut off the ring a little bit. Not saying he has to leave his current trainer, but at least add to it. All
Right.
right. We need to jump along here. Another great fight. Ramos Jr. Rosario.
Okay. This one here is like I like both of these boxers, but Jason Rosado has not had much luck at 154. And now this fight here, is it still at 154 or is it at middleweight?
I believe it is still at 154.
Okay, because Jose is a huge 154 pounder. Um, but Jason has a lot of he has a lot of the same build in him too, as far as height is concerned. So on paper, as far as height, reach, those type of things, I don't think there's much difference, if I'm not mistaken. But the difference just comes in with Jesus Ramos being a lot more active. Um, he's a lot more active, and I think he also fought Jose Benavidez before. Am I right? I think Jesus
I
was the
thought so.
one. Yeah. And so he gets in there and he really knows how to go to the body on his opponents, which I really love that. And then it pays dividends down the stretch of the fight. And I really I think this is more of a case of Jesus Ramos fight to lose rather than a fight that is considered, you know, a good matchup. Because I don't know when the last time Jason fought. And the last time we saw him, you know, he had not so good results with other 154 pounders that resulted in like, you know, some type of abdomen type knockouts.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's his Achilles heel that all the boxers now know this is what we need to pinpoint on him, but it
Right.
does make him more of a target, you know, as far as that. And since Jesus is really known for a lot of body punches, I can see this going down in a specific way. And I like
Yeah.
the killer instinct that Ramos has too. That's another thing. So I gotta go with Ramos in this particular fight. But I
Not only
love
that,
JCR.
she's saying Ramos by body KO. Well, that's I'm gonna vote for. I'm gonna bet on that. That's gonna make my odds even better.
Okay, okay. Yeah, let me know if my predictions have any like, you know, real methodology in it.
Real world effects. All right, guys. The co-main could end up being a show stealer, and I'm talking Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton rematch.
Oh yes. And this fight, I'm
Are
super excited for the rematch.
are you
Uh,
looking more forward to this or the main event? Because I mean, they're two really good fights.
uh, I gotta say this one to be honest with you. Even though I've been waiting for David versus David, that Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton fight, to me, I mean, that's like a to be continued rematch that we didn't get because Cool Boy decided to take the NUA money. I mean, the fight was so close and it is so you know, I don't know if it still is that way, but at the time it was like half and half. People really thought that Figueroa won the fight. Others thought that Fulton pulled it out. I mean, it was so back and forth, and they were really banging and going at each other, which is why I thought that the fight against NUA and Cooper was going to be way more competitive than it ended up being. But so now we finally get to see this rematch that I've been wanting for a couple of years now. And Fulton is, you know, back at featherweight. So, or is this super featherweight that this rematch is happening in?
Uh,
Because the original fight was at featherweight. But I'm just saying they really know how to bang. Those two like to fight on the inside. They also like to, you know, do some movement. But Brandon Figueroa is more like the aggressor, like a pit bull is,
Hmm.
where he's like a hunter. And when he hunts, it's, if you get in the corner or you get yourself in a situation where you're up on the ropes, if you can't figure out how to get out, then it's a bad night for you. Luckily for Cool Boy, at the time, he had the body, physique, and the skill to be able to exit some of those tough, aggressive stances that Figueroa was offering. So to me, this is a fight that really, like, it's a rematch, and it is some bad blood there, but it also is like very tactical because you get a little of everything in the first fight. So we're hoping that the same is here too, and it's magic.
For sure. And it looks like this is for Figueroa's featherweight title.
Featherweight. Okay, so hey, I mean, this is gonna be a banger. And don't they call him Pretty Face? Or what do they call him?
Babyface.
Oh,
Brandon,
Figueroa, the Heartbreaker.
the
The
Heartbreaker.
heartbreaker. The heartbreaker. My
Yes,
bad. Damn.
the Heartbreaker is not gonna want to give up that title, especially not to the guy that he lost his unification bout to, and who also got to go on and fight NUA. He's not gonna want to give up that title because that is the way that he can also get to NUA. He needs that title to stay with him. So I think it's going to be a bang up fight. And Cool Boy also is going to want to shine because, he didn't look so good in his last outing, even though he won his fight. And I think that had more to do with just the amount of layoff time he had in between the fights than his actual skill level. So now we got him fresh, rejuvenated. Those, rounds are like behind him, as far as having, you know needing to basically get more active. So I just think that this makes for an amazing fight card, and this makes for an amazing fight.
Oh yeah, I mean if this is your co-main, then yeah, you got a decent card going right here. This could be a main event upon itself.
Very
Guys,
true.
as you were telling me, I was pulling Figueroa's box rep up anyway, so I saw the Heartbreaker thing. But please tell me why why does he look like Superman or something with this little
Superman. Yeah, you
his
see
little
him
his
wearing the
little
Superman outfit sometimes. He really
oh
does look
man,
like a Clark Kent.
it was funny to me. I don't know, it was cracking me up. All right, Rob, who do you favor in this fight? I mean, the original was so close. Are we gonna even it out? Are we gonna double down? What are we doing here?
So the best part of this alludes back to what my mood has been all night, right? Prove it to me. Well, both of these guys got to prove something to me, though. Okay? Because Figueroa, to me, did not look good in his last fight, but he overcame whatever was going on with him and won. And I got to commend him for gutting it out and winning because he was hurt during that fight, if you remember. And he put a gutsy performance together. He looked lethargic. He didn't look good at all. They didn't make excuses, but he just did not look that good, and he still gutted out a win. And then,
Okay.
of course, Steph, I think he's he could be damaged goods. I think he could. I want him to prove me wrong as well. This is the perfect fight for these guys because the commonality with these younger fighters that we see today is that when they get to a certain level and they lose, for whatever reason, their motivation leaves them, right?
Mm,
Their hunger leaves them. And in this fight, both are going to be hungry because they know what they brought out of each other in that first fight. And they both got something to prove. Why? Because Figueroa now is the title holder. Fulton is not. Figueroa is coming off of a title victory. Fulton is not. Plus, the first fight was so close, people got on Cool Boy Steph saying that they didn't think he really won the first fight.
Mm.
So he even has that chip on his shoulder, saying he wants to come out and prove everybody he is who he is. He's back. He's still cool, Steph. All of this, blase blah. Well, now it's time for the bell to ring, and you got to prove it. Brandon's
Mm.
gonna bring his hunger in the ring, especially because he knows what type of fighter Fulton is. So this fight is a prove it to me, but on both sides, which means we're gonna have another highly competitive fight.
Mm.
The difference maker is somebody going to adjust, right? Is somebody going to make adjustment in this fight and say, hey, maybe I don't take as many chances as I did in that first bout, or maybe I rely more on my boxing skills than I did in that first bout. But then, like Mike Tyson say, it's all funny games and you get punched in the mouth, right? So I think it's gonna go
Yeah.
right back to that brawl, right back to that gutsy performance on both parties again. We're gonna have a very gutsy fight here. Very gutsy fight. It's gonna be close. It's gonna depend on those championship rounds. Somebody's got to
But they
take this
might not
belt.
want to go to the judges' scorecards again, being that it was so close for both boxers. One of them may have a stoppage in mind in their strategy because they saw how, the two styles made it so that, you don't know exactly what the judges are thinking. So I think that both boxers would want to end it before it got to the 12th round.
And that's a good point, Shakura. And guess what? This is that type of fight that somebody does try that and the other one gets back up off the canvas. This
Hmm.
could be that type of fight. The other one gets up off the canvas and we see a hell of a fight. It could. I'm hoping that's what we get. The first fight was phenomenal, but it was lacking that type of drama, right? Meaning somebody actually getting the knockout down or something like that during the fight to try to, like you said, to try not and leave it to the judges.
Yeah, but they both were in such physically great shape for that fight. And that's why I love when boxers fight in their prime. And it was like I'm thinking in my mind, like, damn, could they possibly be in that type of tip top shape that they were back then a few years ago for this fight? Because
I
that's the
think
only
they will.
reason why both of them lasted the 12 rounds is because they both were in that type of physical shape because they both were landing some really solid punches.
I think they will. Hell, let's look at it.
The
Brandon
last
is
fight,
what? Brandon is Brandon is 28. Well, Brandon is 28. Fulton is 30. So I mean, in boxing years, yeah, they a little up there. And then that
in the
fight was
prime.
what? How long
Not
ago
really. I
was that
consider
fight?
this still to be their prime.
Yeah, till 32, I consider the prime. After 32, you're starting to slide downhill usually.
And then I
But
mean, both of them phenomenal. 25-1, 20 Figueroa 22-1. Again, this is for Figueroa's belt. He don't like giving up that belt. Isn't him and the sister still both title holders, right?
well, let me ask you guys this: Does Fulton getting dropped in his last fight worry you guys at all? Especially
Yes.
against really a guy not worried, not really
Well,
knowing.
we never saw him dropping a fight until anyway, stopped him in a very
Yeah,
brutal way. And so is that something that happens, that has
lingering
lingering
effects. Yeah,
effects?
Which is
Yeah.
why I
That
said
made
he's
us feel like
damaged
it
goods.
was.
Which is
Right.
why I said
yeah,
he's damaged goods
yeah.
right now. But
But then again, that could have just happened because it was so long in between him come like it was like 2 years, I believe, before he came back. And had that fight, the last fight that he had.
but the
So
cat
I think that also had to be in place. So if we see him get dropped, a few times in this fight, then we know that it might be something else going on. But if he sustains and he looks good through this fight, we know that it was more or less having to do with that layoff time.
But the caveat too to me in this fight is they know each other from that first fight. They know each other.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
when you're in a ring and you can have some expectations, that'll take away with some of the doubt. That'll take away some of the lack of the confidence in there. And mostly, like I said, the doubt. So you kind of know a little bit of the game plan or what your opponent is going to try and do in there. And that also can help you
Or you think you know,
adjust.
when in actuality, a coach and a
Yeah.
team might change up that strategy, you know, significantly to throw you off on what you've been training for. But that's why a lot of people don't try to go on what happened in the last fight. They just key point some of the things that they see repetitiously with an opponent through several fights. Instead of just concentrating on the fight that they had with them, they're looking for some type of repetition, some type of moves that they do during every fight, which is an
Hmm.
indicator that it'll happen in your fight. But I just feel
I
like
would do the most recent fights. That's what I would do. A couple of the most recent, because you pick up bad
that
habits and other stuff too that you could exploit.
that's true. I mean, there's also things that can
Yeah.
happen in a fight that you're not expecting. Like, wait a minute, he wasn't doing this in this fight. Now he's learned how to do this. I guess he learned it from anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, that can come into play too. Like, it doesn't have to be a negative thing that that boxer picked up. It could also be something positive that the boxer picked up. But this is the thing, guys. This what make this co-main event so entertaining,
Special.
so
Special.
yeah, because there's so many dynamics to it. And also, both fighters need this win. Like, they both are gonna be like, I'm leaving it all on the line because I got to have this win. And so, that can work for you or against you.
So I know we want to move on.
It's ending in a KO. I mean, this one's ending in a KO. I think.
Okay.
I
I
just
don't
want
know if they
to
can go.
touch a few points before, but the point I'm trying to make though, Shakur, because you're absolutely right, um, and that leads me to a question for y'all after this, but you're absolutely right. You're supposed to adjust, right? You're supposed to adjust and look at what the fighter last did in their last few fights versus go
Mm-hmm.
back to that last one. But I'm more interested in the dynamic of the mental part of it, right? Because again, when
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fighters, especially these younger fighters, get into trouble in the ring is when they have doubts, when they have
Mm-hmm.
anxiety going in there. They may not study their opponent, they don't know who their opponent is, which leads me to my question. Really, how many of these fighters do you guys actually think are watching and studying the tape versus giving it off to their trainer to do? Because I
I
think that's
think
a
I'm,
they all
bigger
look at the
advantage.
tapes. They
I'm gonna
say
be
they
honest with
don't,
you.
but
Anybody
they
that's
looking.
a household name or at least is a name, you know what I mean? If somebody just names a name and you can say that's a fighter, they're watching tape.
So I'm looking at Benavidez tapes prior to this bout, and he's like, "Fuck this! I don't even want to watch this. I don't even want to watch it no more." Studying David Morrell, and you know what? I see that on every fighter. It's like they're watching it with the trainer, and then they tune out, or they're eating, or they're distracted, or they're playing with the kids. Uh, I that's probably something we can't answer. But yes, they go over the tape together. And but I really think a lot of it is on the trainer to build a game plan based off of that tape. And the fighters
Well,
really
right.
just don't
Yeah.
don't care.
Definitely the strategy, unless you're somebody like a Bud Crawford that's really well versed, and or Mayweather that can look at tape and know what to extract for their own strategy. But most boxers, the strategy is coming from their team. However, a lot of boxers lie and say they don't watch the tapes, and we know they do. They do.
Listen, and the most famous for that's Floyd. Floyd, if you listening, I know your lying ass watches tape. Look, He exploits everybody else's style to his advantage. And the only way he can do that and do that as well as he did throughout his entire career was to watch a lot, and I mean a lot of fucking tape. He knew what they were doing before he did it. How you think Tyson Fury beat Wilder? He watched them crazy ass wide hooks. He died. If you watch that first Fury Wilder fight, I mean, he missed by millimeters. He was dodging those by so close. But he had it down pat, right? He knew as soon as that punch was coming, I'm out of the way. I mean, he sometimes it was barely out of the way, but you look at how many times Fury could have been knocked out from just these near misses. That's all it
Mhm.
takes. You get to know somebody that well, you watch that tape, it'll get you far. Everybody watches tape, Rob. Don't let them fool you.
Yeah, don't let them fool you. That's just for the cameras.
Somebody's got to crush the core.
Oh, well, who is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, thank
Uh,
you.
hit her on her DMs after the show. Lucas, next topic.
All
Don't
right,
We got
get
to
me
guys.
in
get to the big
trouble.
one.
Do
All
not get me
right,
in
guys.
trouble.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
Rob.
Time for Battle of the Davids. David
Oh,
Benavidez versus
wait, real quick. What was
what?
our prediction for that?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, we should probably do that. I got Figueroa KO around 9-10.
Okay.
Cool.
I got Brandon Figueroa. I don't know if it's a decision. It would be like a split decision, or if it actually ends in a TKO. So, but I do have for right now. I feel like Brandon is gonna come up with that little extra, whatever it is that he has in aggression. That's gonna make a difference in this fight.
Like I said, I feel like Stephen Fulton is damaged goods. Um, he really, prove it. He really has to prove me wrong in this fight. However, he knocks out Figueroa in the 11th, 10th, 11th round. I'm going
However,
with Stephen Fulton. I like
Okay.
Stephen Fulton big in this one. I think the mental game, he's mentally strong this time. He's prepared. He's ready for war. He takes Brandon out.
okay.
I don't know. Part of me thinks in a way did some damage enough that I don't know. I don't think Fulton might not ever get back to what he was, but you never know. That's the thing
I've
with
just
with
never
those
known him to
fights.
have knockout power, so I'm gonna have to say no on the knockout, but not no on the chance that Cool Boy Steph pulls it out again.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's go on now. We can talk about Battle of the Davids, David Benavidez versus David Morrell.
Hmm.
Now Sakura, and before we knew who David Morrell was, you were singing his praises, and he has been nothing short of what you have said he is. This is clearly the biggest fight for him. How do you feel, one, just watching him from what he was to now in such a big fight? Um, and how well do you like his chances in this?
I like his chances a lot in this fight. Um, and also what is cool is that he's been actually sparring and training with Hot Rod Kalajic, which was his last opponent.
Hmm.
So I love it when boxers do this. Like when somebody
Hmm.
gives them a little trickiness, or they're not like they didn't figure out something about a particular boxer during their fight, then they bring them into their camp and they want to learn. So I feel like he's always willing to learn and to up his game. But what I like about this matchup and why I'm favoring Morrell to win this fight is because, David Benavidez has been used to pretty much beating on 168-pound guys um, and coming in way bigger than him and using that to his advantage, which he's allowed to do because of the rules. However, now you're about to fight someone that's your own size. And I want to see how that plays out. I want to see, what is your strategy when you're not able to knock this guy out, or when he is the same height as you and filled in the same amount as you. Like, I want to know, like, are you dynamic enough that you can, adapt and be able to show us some of that same flash and things that you do at the lower weight class. So for me, I feel like this is the first time that he's actually going to be fighting someone that stands toe to toe with him in size. And also, we have to look at Morrell as far as him being in the Cuban scene, boxing through the amateurs, coming over here, and really anybody that they put in front of Morrell, he pretty much demolished. And it's no exaggeration in that. Leading up to Yamaguchi in that first round KO, it's been nothing but destruction. And that tells us that he does have some power. Now, what happened is once he got to a slick boxer like Hot Rod Kalajic, he was not able to get his footing and be able to throw those big money punches that he has, like he could with a lesser opponent. So I'm thinking that in this particular training camp, he was able to learn how it is that that you need to do with cutting off the ring and with, using a double jab to put somebody more stationary. So I think he was learning some nuances. To add to his repertoire. And Benavidez, he does have those fast hands, and that is his number one weapon besides the size. So, Morrell had to be ready and willing to deal with that speed. The only thing that kills speed is power, they say. So I guess we're gonna find out for sure this Saturday night, and I can't wait.
So you do have Morrell winning this. It sounds like you gave him a slight edge. You didn't give a prediction. You don't have to yet, but
Right.
you are saying you favoring him a
Yeah,
little bit
I
there.
do think that Morrell can beat Benavidez. And this is only the second outing at 175 for both guys. So
Mm,
they are on equal footing as 175. And, the monster, he has that moniker on his side. People love, the fast hands. They love the fight that Tyson endorsed him and calling him the monster. I mean, it's a
mhm.
whole thing with the Mexican crowd and the fans, which is all great. But what does Benavidez do when he's matched up with someone that is a similar size and similar height, who does have some boxing skills, who does have power, who does know how to move, okay, in a ring and not be stationary for 5, 6, 7, 8 punches, combination punches that David likes to land. So I'm ready, and I don't know if it would last the whole 12 rounds if they're really going at it. Because the only thing that I do have against Morrell really is just the fact that because he was like the demolition man, he really doesn't have a lot of rounds where he just fought an entire 12 rounds. And so we don't know the length. He just has that one fight with Hot Rod that went the entire 12 rounds. But
Yeah.
so we got to see, is that stamina going to be able to you know continue to be good for him through a rough and active 12-round battle. Because one thing that nobody can deny about Benavidez is that he does stay pretty much like the beginning rounds. He can be a little slow coming out, but
Oh,
then,
definitely.
he really starts putting on a lot of power punches, combination punches. And so it's a very active and demanding fight that you get into with him. And that's how he's able to wear people down, as well as the body, the body weight when they get in close. So,
Yeah.
these are things that Morrell will have to watch out for, but I do think he has the skills, the height and the reach and the physical prowess to be able to give Benavidez some serious problems that he's not used to facing. So we're gonna see how much of a champion he really is in this particular fight.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, especially about how Benavidez starts. He starts extremely slow. and just kind of builds it on and on and on and on. And by the 12th round, yeah, usually he's got them overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, my question to you is, Sakura kind of said it, but is the lack of experience on Morrell's part going to have a factor into this against David Benavidez?
It definitely could, but here's why he's in this fight. Since his 12th fight, he has 9 KOs.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy KO ratio. Heavy puncher. There's a reason why Canelo refused to fight both of these two men. They're monsters. This is the type of stuff that you want to see in boxing. I said, and I gave Canelo credit for taking on the young guns, Munguiao, and I even already forgot his damn name. What was that last fight?
Who? Canelo?
Canelo, yeah.
Berlanga.
Yeah, Munguiao and Berlanga, right? I gave him credit for taking on the young guns like Munguiao, Berlanga, but let's be honest, they were no threat power-wise to him at all. These two are monsters. They probably got heavyweight power. They probably do. They probably got heavyweight punching power, both guys. So 9 KO with 11-0 record. That's why Morrell is here. David could have took an easier fight. Especially he's only had one fight in at this division. There are plenty of gatekeepers and names in this division he could have took on, and everybody would have forgave him. They would have just said, okay, let's see David Benavidez knock out such and such, right? He didn't do that. He wanted to take on the young gun here. David Morrell is a serious threat because of the KO ratio, because of the style clash. Morrell just don't come at you guns blazing. He's not just going to come at you head first. No, he's going to put movement. He has a great Cuban style. He has a great boxing pedigree. As Shakur alluded earlier, he's even learning more in the sport. This is his prime right now. He don't want David to take it away from him. And David started out. This tells you a lot. David started out this camp without trash talking, respecting Morrell even. David started the trash talk. David started the disrespect. David.
Well, of course, David. You gotta say a different name.
Look, my bad. David Morrell started.
Both Davids.
David Morrell started the trash talk. David Morrell started getting under his skin. David Morrell started the disrespect. Now he's waking Benavidez up like, oh, I had respect for you, young buck. Now I want to kill you. So now we really have.
Somebody had to hype up the fight. Come on now.
Now we really have a legitimate fight on our hands here, and it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be violence. It's definitely gonna be violence. Shakur, I don't see it lasting 12 rounds at all. I'll tell you what, if David Morrell does make it to 12 rounds, he won to me and not win the fight. I'm just saying that's a victory for him in itself if he lasted 12 rounds with Benavidez. But there's a reason why these two are at a level even Canelo ain't fighting at right now. And you have to say that because you have to put the opponents together in the type of power and the weight that they had coming into those bouts with Canelo and the lack of experience. Canelo had all those advantages. These two, where they lacking experience, they make up for power. Where they lacking experience, they make up for speed. So this is a top-notch matchup.
It is really hard for me to pick here. I could see this going either way. My question is on David Morrell's chin, just because I don't know how well I've seen it tested yet. And that comes from the lack of experience. David Benavidez, I can trust it a little bit more. We've seen him in there against Lemieux, and he was able to take some shots, and Caleb Plant. So he can handle himself, and we know that. We know David Morrell can too. It's just like you said earlier. What was the quote you were saying all day, Rob?
Prove
Prove
it.
it. So
Prove it to
far,
him.
David Morrell has yet to really prove that, but that's not his own fault. That's just in his resume and what's he's has had happen so far in his career.
But
That is
let
not
me
saying
just
that
say
I
this
don't think
too.
he can win this, Sakura.
Yeah.
I think the odds in
No, no.
Vegas are saying that they believe he can win this. It is very close, very very close.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be more for Benavidez for sure.
I
Um,
did too.
but I'm not taking anything from Benavidez. I'm just saying that this is the toughest competition that either guy has had. And I think that the competition that Morrell offers is a little bit more elite than the competition that David Benavidez offers Morrell, if that makes sense. But
I
yeah.
You're saying Morrell has a little bit more tools in his toolbox, more
Yes,
than
and that's
Benavidez.
like the
Benavidez
most
relies more on sheer strength, sheer size,
and quick
overpowering.
hands. Yeah, output.
Yeah,
But what I wanted to say is, Morrell could have stayed at 168. He's young, he was in shape, he was fit. There was no reason he had to just move up to 175, but
I
for
was
the
surprised
fact
at the
that
move
he
up too.
really was adamant that he wanted this fight with Benavidez. So if Benavidez moved up to 175, guess what? I'm about to do the same because I'm making it very, very clear that this is the fight I want. And how many boxers have we seen willing to do that these days?
That's true, and especially when you're already in the division of a Canelo Alvarez. Usually, that's
Right,
the fight everybody's chasing. So,
right.
but guys, I'm not going to say that David Morrell doesn't have it still in him. That if he wins this fight, that's a good argument right there for Canelo. Bring it on. And I'm pretty sure Morrell can move back down. I mean, I don't think he'll be
Yeah,
have a problem making 168, let alone for that kind of money. I'm sure we can see that fight. So
he could, but at the
regardless,
same time, they're also saying that the winner of this fight might would get the winner of Better BL versus Bival too.
oh
So
man,
that is also another angle that the winner can go into.
yeah.
That's
So
what
they might get the winner
Benavidez is
there, might
chasing.
get a Canelo fight.
That's what Benavidez is
Mm.
chasing. He's tired of chasing Canelo. Um, but guys, there's there's gonna be so much different to this fight, a different feel, a different look when you see these guys throwing punches, when you see these guys landing punches, when you see these guys hurting each other. Hell, even when even when they clinch, there's gonna be so much of a bigger difference in this fight than what we've seen in Canelo's whole last year. And what I mean by that is there was never a threat. There was never a threat posed to Canelo. He was never threatened in those bouts. He was never in trouble. We never thought, oh no. We never seen the type of level of punches that these guys are about to throw in a
Right.
Canelo fight all of last year. This is what you want to see from two big guys like this, and neither one of them has backed down in any fight. There's been fights where I thought Benavidez could change it up, not go for the kill. Don't overexert himself. Don't use too much power. Hell, I thought in that last fight he should have took it off more than he did because he was hurt and it was obvious, and he still threw powerful punches with a hurt hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's all commendable, and I think it shows, that champion spirit. But now is the time, like I said, I feel like this is the most competitive fight Benavidez will be in up to this point, and so it's gonna really show us one way or the other, and then gonna be able to prove to Rob what he wants to know about the David versus David.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so, because I ain't said my prediction yet, but Benavidez KO in 6.
In 6,
In
goddamn.
6.
6.
All right, look.
Damn, you ain't give Morrell no credit.
Here's why. You're the young Thundercat. You bit off more than you can chew, young player. I'm sorry for you. I feel bad. You're a good damn fighter. You're a damn good fighter. You got a lot more to learn. You're going to learn from this and move forward. You bit off more than you can chew, youngster. You're getting
You should be
KO'd in
ashamed.
6.
This one's really tough for me. I honestly do think this is a 50-50 fight. Regardless of what Vegas says, it slightly leans towards Benavidez, but it's hard for me. I try to always do the style matchup and what style I think is gonna, come out and control a lot of the fight. My problem is I just don't know. I believe that this is gonna look a lot like Plant Benavidez did. My only thing with that is I think Morrell's bigger and stronger than Plant is. He's going to be able to last a little bit longer. And if that's the case, I mean, Plant could have won that fight. I don't know. I really do want to say draw. We don't do that. We don't do that on Tough Talk. I'm going to say Benavidez split decision because I just can't see it any other way.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what James says about this. And I want to see what his prediction would be, and Javi's as well. So we can see, like, am I out here on a limb by myself going for Morrell? But I'm willing to do that. I'll take that, yeah. Because I totally believe in him as a boxer.
Are you just saying decision?
See, that's where I get fuzzy, where I'm like, damn, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, when's the last time Benavidez faced somebody that had like real power too?
That's true.
So it would be
Lemieux didn't. I mean, he didn't really crack him.
Yeah, and he also is not really a 168 pounder. They had him
No.
way up there,
Yeah, he's way above where he should have been.
Yeah, so that was never no
beat the
threat.
hell out of him.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say he beat the hell out of him. No, never.
Well, he lost.
I mean, it was pretty bad. It was a pretty bad beating. But yeah, like I haven't seen him face someone that could really test his chin. But if there's no rehydration clause in this, we can look forward to Benavidez probably being about 190.
190.
Well, they're at 175, so
yeah, I think he
rehydrated to 20 pounds.
Yeah, I think he rehydrated last fight to 190, 195, something like that. They said.
Yeah, and you do that just so you'll be able to move around a little better than if you gained even more. So, that's going to make his chin a little bit more durable too. That additional weight. So, I'm interested to see what Morrell
don't rehydrate like that though, right?
No, he usually doesn't.
Morrell
I didn't think so. He didn't look like he did. He doesn't really take on that
Morrell
extra
said
water
he
weight.
walks around at 175.
I mean,
and look,
think
that's what I'm saying. Like,
he's just always fit. He doesn't be, he's not. He's at that age where you can do that.
I mean, am I crazy though? Don't you guys see it that way? Like the Cuban pedigree takes over the first half of the fight, but Benavidez, like he's slow, but he starts working his way in. It's the tale of two fights, the way I see it. Morrell first half, Benavidez second half.
It should be.
Can Benavidez stop him? I don't know. That's my only question, right? If not, I would be more confident in saying Morrell. But right now, I'm just saying Benavidez split decision only because, one, that's the money guy. That's A side, right? So he's got 1 or 2 already in the books. So even if it is a 50-50 fight, Benavidez wins because fucking boxing's the most corrupt sport in the world.
Well, again, you got to look at...
Lucas is the only one that will actually throw in the corruption as a factor in the prediction. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is doing that. Lucas does that.
You got to look at...
it could be accurate as fuck.
We'll his 12 fight. That's all I'm saying.
And maybe there's a change in the guard. Maybe he's not what they see as the prize fighter that they thought he was. And this particular fight could be an indicator of that.
I
So
don't
Yeah.
think
you
that
don't
though.
know if they may be ready to change to a different boxer. You never
Yeah.
know. But I mean, either way, Benavidez is going to be around because it's still going to always be the buzz about, is Canelo going to fight a Benavidez? That's always going to be the buzz there. Whether Benavidez is chasing that or not, that's still going to be like, why didn't Canelo, face the monster when he was at 168? Why doesn't he do it now? They're not. That's a burning question, right? So that question would still be there whether he wins this fight or loses the fight. Honestly, so then that leaves Morrell as, can he be another big name in the sport? Doesn't have to hurt the monster at all, because like you said, they could either say, hey, the monster won this fight, let's see if we can make the Canelo fight now, or let's see if he can face Bival or Beterbiev. Or they could be saying, hey, Morrell looked really good in that fight. Maybe he didn't get the win, but he still looked good enough that I really want to see what he looks like against the Bival. Or I really want to see what he looks like back at 168 against somebody like Plant. So it's a lot of different options that they can have when somebody like Morrell is young and they're able to bounce back into 168 without
That's
having
true.
too much effort. But either way it goes, like, I think the fans are going to be a winner on Saturday night because of the fact that it's so many great fights on this card, so many nice names on the card, and then of course we got the rematch, Figueroa versus Superman.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
saying,
Figueroa is the Superman, the one that looks like Superman.
yeah, no, you're right. And, what you were saying there with, would you say then the pressure is more on Benavidez, right? Like Morel has to look good, right? You don't even necessarily have to win. All you have to do is look good. Stay close, make the fight close. You're good. You're going to sell more fights. You can continue and grow your career from there. You don't necessarily have to win. I think Benavidez, though, you got to win. Am I wrong?
Absolutely right. And that's the beauty of this fight, too. It is because of that. Look, Morrell, this is really a learning experience for him, win or lose. Just going into this fight because it's the biggest fight. It's at T-Mobile Arena. Hell, this is the biggest arena even Benavidez said he's even been featured in. This is the
Mm.
biggest arena he's been featured in. He hasn't been featured at T-Mobile himself yet. So
Right.
for Morrell, this all is a learning experience. It's the first big show, first big fight. You're fighting a bigger guy, even. You're fighting a much bigger name. All of that, all of that is to his advantage in putting the pressure on David Benavidez. But people keep saying like Benavidez is not him. He's not him. Y'all been saying that. You said Caleb Plant he'll give him issues. Beat the crap out of Caleb. Hell, I even think back when Durrell fought him, y'all thought he would have issues with Durrell. Beat the crap out of Durrell. Beat the crap out of Caleb Plant.
Hold
Andre.
on now. I gotta
That's
check you
not how
now.
that fight
Look,
went down.
listen.
Caleb
Caleb
Plant was not
Plant.
beat the fuck up. I'm sorry.
No, not
He
only
he
that,
beat, he
he was
beat
punching
Caleb. He
up
beat
the
Caleb
entire
up.
time.
He
Look,
beat
he was
Caleb up.
outgrown. Okay, that was a little kid
Caleb
versus
Plant
a
just ran
man.
out of
Okay,
speed. Like, he just ran out of
Um,
energy at the
I
Andre,
end.
just
That's
got
what
tired of
happened.
Andre, they
beating on
thought
that
would
man.
give him problems
Yeah.
because he's such a master class boxer. Beat
Nobody thought that
Andre.
shit.
Beat Andre.
Ain't
Then he
nobody think
steps
that
up
shit.
to 175. Oh, he ain't now. He's in there with some real killers because he's at his real weight class. And he goes and he dominates. Hurt.
I
And he
mean, I just
dominates
think
his
like
first fight at
nobody's saying
175.
Benavidez is like a class class boxer, class
Oh,
act
my Lord.
boxer, slick boxer. Nobody in all the fights he's had, nobody's described him as that
Mike
dude.
Tyson wasn't a slick boxer, but he knocked
It
everybody
doesn't
out.
matter. Like the point is you're saying that his win, he's winning against everybody, but nobody is saying that he's gonna win against a boxer by outboxing him. Nobody's saying that he can use that strategy.
Mm,
The strategy that I keep hearing about
nope,
is, oh, he's gonna have to KO him. That's the one that I keep hearing in all my
pretty much.
forums, is that if he wants to get rid of Morrell, he's gonna have to KO him. And I
No, that
just don't
he
know
got
if
to
he
chop
got
him down.
that in him.
He's got to chop him down. I mean, he has to outwork him with those fast hands and just pour it on. And
But he's not a KO artist like
he's
this.
not really. No, it's
Like
just that
he's
he's
not
so
a
big. He's
Tyson.
out. He's been that weight bully guy for a while. And I think he's
How is
extrapolated
he
that.
not a
But
knockout
now
artist?
he's he's in a place where his weight matters less, kind of like what I've been saying about Canelo. What you've
Right.
been doing don't matter nearly as much at this higher weight, and if he goes up again, then it'll finally be about even. But this is going to be as good as it gets. And with David Morrell, we talk about pedigree, right? And boxing is a game of discipline, and you got to trust that Cuban pedigree. If you come from a Cuban background, you a disciplined motherfucker. Okay, so I already trust your boxing. It's now is can you overcome the size difference in David Benavidez? Is David Benavidez, I know you're all going to be weighing in the same, but is he going to blow up like he usually does? Are we going to see him close to 200 pounds on fight night with David
Mm.
Morrell only him gaining 1 or 2 pounds?
Oh
That makes a big
God.
difference, guys. It does, and I think that's still going to be a factor in this fight. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah, everywhere but the heavyweight division, right? Anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that
I
that
mean, I
that
love it
that could
either
lead
way.
back around forever, but
You see how we got all deep and into this matchup, and that is a sign that this is like literally a better matchup than most people think it is.
it is. And I got to say, guys, everybody go watch it. I'm not going to tell you to pay for it. I'm not going to tell you to illegally stream it. I'm just going to say fucking watch it, okay? Boxing, we don't get enough cards as it is. The good ones, when they come by, we need to support. You need to watch it. Everybody can, contribute. Let's come back here Tuesday and talk about it. For Sakura and Rob, check us out again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. As always, we don't pull any punches, and we'll see you next week.